Hey Gators and sports fans, get all your Gator talk, news, analysis, and opinions on the Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning podcast. Find us on your favorite podcast platform or watch us on Facebook Live between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. every weekday. Pod Up, because we are Gator fans. So say it's great to be a Florida Gator.
The week. It's Pod Up with Matthews in the morning. It is a Friday morning. Hope you're doing well out there wherever you are in the world listening to the program. We're going to talk sports. We got a lot of stuff to talk about, a lot of crazy things happening in the sports world. Big game Monday night. But we're going to go ahead and go to the Titan MR hotline, and we're going to be joined by JC. Good morning, JC. How are you?
Here I am. I'm good. I'm awake. I'm ready to roll. QB, another great weekend. I'm so excited to be staying at home this weekend and not traveling. It's really, really wonderful. I don't have to pack anything. I don't have to take care of the dog. I don't have to pack the CPAP machine. I don't have to pack, clothes for 14-degree weather. I am going to be in Florida. I'm excited.
Did you know how cold it's going to be around game time in Indianapolis?
Yeah, I heard it's going to be in the teens. Now is that?
I think I heard like 8 degrees at kickoff.
Yeah,
there ain't gonna be nobody tailgating in the parking lot.
No. I hear you, and I'm not missing that one darn bit. I think it's exciting to have your school playing a championship game. I've been to 3 of them. But this one was unique because Indianapolis is a place where I think this is the first, well, obviously it is the first time they've hosted a national championship game for college football, or maybe any football for that matter. But look, it's Georgia. I think it would have been maybe more exciting for Alabama fans to see Michigan, but then all the tickets would have been taken and you wouldn't have been able to get in the building. Right now, tickets in the upper deck at Lucas Oil Stadium are about $400. On a relative basis, that is considered extremely low. And when we had to play Clemson down in Tampa, you were talking about thousands and thousands of dollars. And now you've got a real affordable game. The only problem is it's up in the frozen tundra of Indianapolis. And even though the game is indoors, you're literally going to have to be indoors the entire time you're up there, unless you want to just go and get frostbite. So I'm glad. Look, just imagine if Florida fans had a chance to go to Indianapolis, they might do it. But think about the temperature outside, and that's just that doesn't seem fun to me. So no, I hear you, and really, it's good that college football spread out because they're right in the middle of Big Ten country. But typically, you want to have these games in some sort of climate control. Well, they are in climate control, but a warm weather environment. But I think it's good that we go to other places in the country. It's kind of like when Seattle played the Denver Broncos, I guess it was, or somebody in the Super Bowl up in New York. So
yeah, that was so dumb.
That just didn't see. And they got lucky, I think, because they didn't have 1.5 feet of snow and they didn't have 25-mile-an-hour winds blowing through the meadowlands there. So they got lucky with that. But I don't think it will happen again. I agree. I don't think that'll happen again.
On Facebook Live, brought to you by Mellon Law, the only personal injury attorney, a law firm partner of the Florida Gators. John says the guy from Eastern Michigan. I was telling you yesterday. Yes. Eastern Michigan,
Charlie Batch,
and Virginia, both put out almost like some ads via Twitter.
Okay.
And you cannot do that in NIL. And basically, Charlie Batch was offering $1 million for Caleb Williams to come to Eastern Michigan to play. I'm telling you, it's
hilarious. I think it's funny. I think it's
But what's funny, Jason? What is not funny is spending $30 million on 15 football players.
Well, I would ask the people who are doing that why. I mean, what are they getting from that? And I don't think that's going to be the normal thing. I certainly don't think anywhere has the resources of a place like Texas A&M to continually do that year after year. I think it's because this is new and because we are just getting into this new world of college football, something like this would be bound to happen, but I can't see this being an annual thing. I think eventually markets revert to the mean, they correct, and at some point you're not going to have $30 million being a normal thing. This is, I think, an outlier. I don't think it's going to be something you see every year.
Well, let's hope not. Daniel says, wasn't there a Super Bowl in Minneapolis? Yeah, a few years ago there was, but it was indoors. We were talking about the Super Bowl that was played at the Meadowlands that was outdoors, which was ridiculous.
Right.
JC, I was flipping through the channels last night, watched a little basketball, some other stuff.
Yeah.
And, obviously COVID is killing sports. I mean, guys are having to sit out, they're testing positive. But here's what was just, and I never watched the NBA, but for some reason it was one of those deals where I changed the channel, got up, went in the kitchen, came back, and it was on TNT or TBS or whatever. And I can't remember who, I think it was the Knicks and the Celtics playing.
Okay.
The Knicks got all these, maybe it wasn't, maybe it was
the Knicks played the Celtics.
I don't know. Anyway, whoever it was, regardless of the team, it doesn't matter. But obviously a lot of players are tested positive and they have to miss and sit out the protocol or whatever. Yeah. But the dang guys that are sitting out with COVID were sitting on the bench wearing
masks. Yeah, they were there. Yeah.
But why are they there? If they can't play in the game, why are they sitting on the bench?
And here's another thing. Tyronn Lue of the who was playing Phoenix last night? Whatever. The Clippers. The Clippers were playing Phoenix last night. He's sitting there, and three guys are sitting next to him with masks on. He's screaming, shouting, and hollering all these instructions to his players out there. These guys this whole thing is just I just don't know really what to believe or what makes sense. And I don't think really there's a whole lot of believability in any of it. If you are sick, you stay home. That's why I'm bringing it up. I'm not trying to
get into the whole COVID argument. I'm just saying if you have tested positive and you are not allowed to play in an NBA basketball game, why are you sitting on the bench with the guys that are playing in the game? That makes no sense to me.
I know. And a lot of these positive tests, some of them are false positive tests. So maybe we heard about the positive tests, they got retested and it was negative. And so maybe that's why they're sitting out there. I mean, who can keep up with it all? I don't have any idea. I am glad that though there are teams in Canada playing hockey. I'm glad they haven't canceled all the games because they happen to be in Canada. Canada is right now much more restrictive in things related to COVID than perhaps in the United States, but there are teams in Canada playing hockey. Calgary played Tampa just last night. So I think folks are starting to learn how to cope with this and deal with it, and hopefully we are peaking and things will get back to more normal times. That's all we can hope for. QB, we have two NFL games tomorrow. We have we didn't have a Thursday night football last night. The league is in its last regular season weekend before the playoffs start next week in the first wild card round. But we got two games tomorrow. And then we've got, some pivotal games on Sunday that could decide final playoff positions. Certainly will decide some playoff fates for a couple of teams, not a lot, but right now, it looks like Tennessee with a win over Houston gets a 1 seed in the AFC. And it looks like Green Bay, of course, has the 1 seed and will likely rest a lot of players against Detroit tomorrow. Oddly enough, I know people who are going to be at that Detroit-Green Bay game for whatever reason. It's kind of funny. And I'm sure that when they booked that trip, they were excited about the prospect of watching Aaron Rodgers play. And I would be stunned if that guy plays more than one series of downs or plays at all. To tell you the truth.
Yeah, he probably won't. So who
there's no reason for it.
Who are
the Chiefs are going to be at Denver tomorrow, and they need to win and hope that Tennessee loses over the weekend to get the 1 seed. Otherwise, they'll be the 2 seed, and that's because they lost to Cincinnati last week. They had the 1 seed but lost it. And then Dallas will play at Philadelphia, and Philadelphia is currently in the playoffs but needs to win tomorrow and beat Dallas. Dallas is hoping, I think, pretty much they're solidified at either the 3 or the 4. I think it's the 4th spot, and they'll likely play these guys, the Arizona Cardinals, again next week in a rematch from last week, in all likelihood, if both teams win Saturday.
Chris has a Facebook Live here brought to you by Mellon. He says, is JC what would be considered a, quote, fair weather fan?
No, I mean, I like the Rams, baby, but I love this bird. This is the coolest bird. This is a great bird. I do like the bird. I think Cardinals are a team that if they get healthy could be very – I think they could give Green Bay a pretty good game up there at Lambeau if it's not 6 below 0. Of course, if it is, then who knows? But I just like the Cardinals because I think defensively and the way they play football on the road, they could give Green Bay a good game, or Dallas even, if they have to play on the road again at Dallas. But if they're hurt, if Hopkins doesn't play and a bunch of guys are out, James Conner's a big deal, then I don't know if they can win it. But I do like the way they play. I love their defense.
Turn your car truck into a rolling billboard for your business or brand with an eye-catching vehicle wrap from Wrap Spot this January. Mention promo code Shane, receive 13% off your vehicle wrap. Speaking with JC on the Titan MR hotline, we got a text on the Titan MR text line. Listen to this. This comes from Alan. He says it's an article that he sent. I'm going to kind of go through it real quick. He says, let's use the girlfriend transfer portal theory to figure out where Caleb Williams is headed. And the article talks about Adrian Martinez, the old Nebraska quarterback, transferred to Kansas State because his girlfriend plays soccer there. Okay.
Okay.
Just hang with me here.
Right.
Wyoming has a really good quarterback named Levi Williams. He just transferred to Utah State, where his girlfriend goes to school. Keaton Slovis, the USC quarterback, is going to Pitt, where his girlfriend plays soccer for the Pitt Panthers. So having said all that, the article basically says that Caleb Williams' girlfriend, she's a Tar Heel. So will he end up in Chapel Hill?
Well, the girlfriend scenario is interesting, but I'll give you one, QB. Here you are. Here's a young man who won a state championship in Mississippi, playing in the Gulf Coast of Mississippi, and mom and dad are thinking about where they're going to send this kid. And University of Florida calls them up and says, hey, we've got a 200-square-foot room and a bunk bed and an offer for you to perhaps compete and play here on campus at University of Florida. And maybe, you can compete and see if you get any playing time. And Steve Spurrier is our new coach. And then Bobby Bowden called Bill, and Bill picked up the phone and said, hello. And Coach Bowden said, hey, we got $1 million, $1.5 million for that skinny kid to come visit us and get most of the reps in Tallahassee. I think you would be probably thinking that sounds pretty good. What would you do there, QB?
Don't know the answer to that because
I do. I know. I bet you, well, I don't know, but I bet you old Bill and mom would have said, yeah, you're going to be a garnet and gold spear chucking Seminole, and I hope you have a great time in Tallahassee.
No, because if that was the case, Ole Miss would have thrown a little bit more money.
Well, okay, maybe they would have. All right. But see, this is the thing. Yeah. I don't blame kids for any of this. I think the students are.
I don't blame the kids either. I just think it's ridiculous is my point. It is ridiculous because it's not college athletics anymore. It's a professional sports league.
Let me tell you what's ridiculous also, that a guy like James Franklin can get $100 million for being average. A guy like Gus Malzahn can get $22 million for
I
failing.
Agree, but you got to take all the coach. You got to separate the coaching and the playing. We had a listener yesterday bring up a great point.
What was
about when coaches leave, there's a penalty that's paid. It's called a buyout. When a player leaves, nothing is paid.
A penalty is paid. It's called a buyout.
Yeah. Somebody is paying for that coach to leave. Okay.
Right.
When a player enters the transfer portal, nothing is happening. It's whatever you invested in that guy is gone now.
Well, I mean, in a buyout, whatever you invested or hoped to is gone.
But you're either paying something or you're getting something in return there. For a player, you're not. So I thought that was an interesting point. That's one of our listeners brought up.
Okay. Well,
so in your case, if you coached at Buchholz High School and FAU offered you $3 million, are you going to take it?
I'd weigh my options for sure.
Okay, you'd weigh your okay. So you're trying to jump on all these coaches because if you were in James Franklin's position, you would take the money too.
No, I'm not saying he shouldn't take it, but you're talking about what's right and what's wrong. I think the idea of college football, the way you were accustomed to, might be dead, but I don't think college football is dead. And I think
it's getting ready to be. It's always been top heavy. It's getting ready to be extremely top heavy now. Extremely. Well, because I can tell you right now, we don't have the boosters, and we don't have boosters that are going to pay what Texas and Texas A&M boosters are going to pay.
But I don't think that's going to be the key to their national championship success in the future. Because I don't think that's going to continue on a consistent basis. I can't see that being the case. We don't know that.
Okay. Well, in the case that okay. So having said that, you may be right, but we keep talking about they can't be paying these coaches this kind of money, but it continually increases every year for coaches. Well,
so I mean, it's
increasing for players.
It likely will. And listen, it's going to increase for the schools too. So, I mean, what they do with the money that TV's about to pour into their bank accounts is unbelievable, because I think Texas A&M or places like that are outliers. They are the rare exception, because they have more money than they know what to do and what to spend with. And a lot of it has to do with what they are, where they're located, and so forth. But that is more of the exception than I think what the rule will be. I agree with you. Most schools don't have these resources, and Texas A&M and their boosters have it today. But who's to say with an economic collapse or a recession, we're going to see this kind of expenditure continue on a yearly basis? What you will see is college football improving in ways that right now we don't talk about as much, because the money from television is going to explode onto these campuses. And what these administrators do with all that money is up to them.
They can't pay the players with that money. So
they can't play the players, but what they can do is offer much more to the players in terms of resources, facilities, and so forth. So and personnel. I mean, you're already seeing the staff at the University of Florida explode with this new coach coming in. That is a transcript from the rules of Nick Saban, okay, and how you run a program. And so I mean, I think things are going to be actually better. I don't think this is going to ruin college football. I think the idea of what we are used to in college football might be gone, but I think things will be better than maybe you're predicting. I don't think it's going to ruin college football. I would say this too. You talk about loyalty and this and that, and this is the point I'm going to challenge you on. I agree with college loyalty. I believe that the college experience and being a part of the alumni base of a school is part of who you become in college. That's why it's so special. But when it comes to getting a job and taking that as opposed to your college loyalty, most people will do that. The most famous Florida Gator in existence today worked for another school, was paid by another school, came in and whipped Florida's ass with players who weren't played.
Okay, so what does that have to do with being a college athlete?
Well, no, what it has to do with is you saying, loyalties are going to be gone. Listen, Coach Spurrier, I've said a million times, Coach Spurrier is the greatest Gator of all time, because he is the most loyal guy there is, because he played here, he loves the university, he coached here. But you can't talk about having a job and coaching against. What you want him to do? Say we're going to lose to Florida because I played there? No, I didn't want him to do that. But he didn't have to leave Florida. He chose to leave Florida, and
he chose because he wanted another challenge. But that has nothing to do with loyalty.
Right. Players are doing the same thing. Players are, and I'm not saying he's not loyal. Of course, he's loyal. But I'm also saying that he had no problem walking in here and getting carried off the field with a couple players that weren't being played because it wasn't their job. It was his job. Well, you know what? Now players are getting money to where it becomes their job. And I don't know what's wrong with players sharing the revenue of this sport.
I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying here, but your situation is basically saying players have no loyalty.
No. Okay, maybe I didn't frame this properly.
Because here's what I'm saying. At loyalty, when I look at loyalty, it is you're going to be at one place, and then you're going to graduate, and you're going to send checks to that school. You're going to bring your kids on homecoming. Yep. Okay, You look at some of these basketball players. I was watching a game the other night. The kids played at 4 different schools in 4 years.
Yeah, forget it.
No loyalty. I understand he's trying to get to the next level and make a living. That's fine, but there's no loyalty there. There's no loyalty.
I get it.
So a player like him, when he's announced on Monday Night Football, John Cornell, that's when you go to that you went to Buchholz High School. That's when you don't say that I played at Wisconsin, I played at North Carolina. That's what I'm talking about. That is not loyalty.
I get it. I hate it that Fletcher Cox doesn't say Mississippi State. I don't understand that. I don't know why. But, you were harping the other day about this money and NIL crap will destroy loyalty. Well, dude, forget about it. They will have loyalty whether they're paid or not, or they won't. And loyalty.
No. I'm telling you right now, my definition of loyalty is different than what you got in your mind right now. If a kid stays here his entire time and graduates and plays for the Gators, he's loyal to that school. If he transfers after 1 year, he ain't loyal. If he's here for 3 or 4 years in an Eric Kresser situation where there was a guy that was a damn Heisman Trophy winner, so I need to go play somewhere, Eric Kresser is still considered a Gator because he was here 3 or 4 years. But these guys that jump around, they ain't loyal. I don't care. Nobody's going to change my mind on that because you are not.
Well, listen, I think loyalty these days is a much more fleeting thing than it was before because of the money. And I get it that that's not a great thing to have, and it's not a good thing. But it sounds like to me that somebody who takes a job and leaves a place because he wants a new challenge is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But I wouldn't want to tell a kid that in the very small period of time that he has to be a college athlete, that his loyalty is always in question because the economic opportunities presented to him are so good that they can't pass it up. I still wouldn't say he's disloyal. I would say he is doing what's best for his family. And if the people who he has committed to say, well, we've got to let you go because we just can't do what they're doing and offering you, that is called life. And that's what coaches do.
But
and
that
that's what
should not happen
does.
in college sports is what I'm saying.
Well, it is happening, though.
I know it's happening. I'm not arguing that. I'm telling you that it shouldn't, though, because it's ridiculous. Okay, for example, I want to use Bryce Young because you're an Alabama homer, okay?
What does that mean? I'm an Alabama homer.
Because you're Alabama. I want you, if y'all win the national title, Bryce Young just won the Heisman Trophy, okay? Mm-hmm. And Bryce Young is offered $6 million to go play quarterback at USC.
Right.
And Nick Saban says, or the boosters are like, we're not going to match it.
Right.
And he goes to USC. Mm-hmm. How would you feel about that? Answer that question.
I'd feel like this. Bryce, while you were here, you did a great thing for us. You helped us win a national championship. You were part of it, and that will never change. But there's just no way you can say no to this offer. It's a business decision.
I'm calling BS on that because he goes there, they win a national title. Y'all have a quarterback that steps in that plays terrible. You're going to be upset as a player because that should not happen in college sports is all I'm saying.
I wouldn't be. I wasn't upset with Jalen Hurts going to Oklahoma. Nobody was.
Because you had Tua.
Well, sure, but Alabama's always – when Bryce Young leaves, there'll be other guys ready to step in. Right. Sure.
Because y'all – it's a bad analogy, but it's a good analogy because I guarantee you would be ticked off.
No. The kid – look, you got to remember, these kids have to do things that make sense for them. And you may hate it because it destroys your idea of what college football is, and I get it because that's how it's always been. But I think you got to start thinking differently right now. And I just don't I don't begrudge a kid for taking something that will exponentially improve his life, at least in the financial realm, because coaches do it and everybody does it. Everybody does it, and there was a reason why, this guy went here or that guy went there. And that is specific to them. The fan base can't get upset about that. I think what would suck is if he went to Auburn and didn't get anything and just transferred because he was tired of Tuscaloosa. That's a different story. But if he gets $6 million to go to Los Angeles and play at USC, what are you going to tell him no?
No, you're not going to tell him no, but my point is that's where it's not college sports. That's what I'll argue with anybody all day. I'm talking about college athletics. We might as well just pay every player. Why go to class? Don't go to class. Just play football. Just sign with someone and play football. Because it is not college sports anymore. It is not about winning for your school. It's about what I can do for myself is what it is. Mm-hmm. It's a selfish business. And
that's where I disagree because you say it's selfish, but yet if you had the opportunity in Pascagoula, Mississippi in 1991 or whatever year it was to get $1.5 million to go to Tallahassee, your parents would have sent your ass there and you know it. So I don't.
Right. And then when I went there, if I chose that school, I was going to stay at that school unless there was an opportunity for me. I wasn't playing after 3 or 4 years. Okay. Then I would reevaluate it, which I wasn't playing for 3 years here, but I was never transferring. My family told me you are graduating from the University of Florida.
If you got paid $1.5 million to play for Bobby Bowden at Tallahassee, and Bobby decided to either leave or the University of Florida came back and said, we made a mistake. You don't get a 200 square foot room in a bunk. You get $5 million. You think you're going to get on I-10 and go east? Yeah, I think so. And don't try and pretend like you wouldn't, okay? So that's just the way it is, QB. That's just the way it is. I mean, and fans are going to have to learn how to cope with it.
Joseph says the kids are taught from a young age that loyalty doesn't matter. Youth sports kids play for who they want to play for, not necessarily their area team. I agree 100%. FHSA has a lot to do with that.
Did you teach Luke? Is that what you taught Luke?
Absolutely. He played with his school.
Oh, I thought he was saying kids were taught not to be loyal.
No, that's how kids are now. They can go play wherever they want to play in the state of Florida. If my kid wanted to go play, which Vanguard High School wanted him, I could have sent him to Vanguard in Ocala.
Well, that's because the rules changed.
Because they're stupid rules. It's
not. Okay, that's up for that. That's sure you can say that, but that's what happened.
They're very stupid because it's the state of Florida.
Okay, but that's not the kids' fault. Don't blame the kids for that, and don't blame the parents for that. That's the rules that were made.
No. When he says kids, I blame the parents and the kids because you're supposed to play with the people you grow up with in your area.
All right. Well. I mean,
but JC, so let me ask you this, because we can argue about this all day. You played baseball at Buchholz, supposedly. Okay. Would you have rather played with your buddies you grew up with at your school, or would you have rather said, you know what, I'm going to go down to, I'm going to travel up to Columbia and play for Lake City?
Why would I do that?
That's my point.
Well, okay, but if I had a reason to, then I'd have to be considered, wouldn't it? So that's my point.
No. The point is, let's say Columbia Lake City is a little bit better baseball program than Buchholz.
I don't care about that.
Do you want to play with your buddies that you're supposed to play with, or do you want to travel up there?
So North Carolina is a little bit better than Oklahoma. Is that why Caleb's going there because he's chasing some girl?
That's we're talking a different deal now. I'm trying to get you to answer.
We're talking about decisions. We're talking about decisions.
The question. What would JC do?
I would rather be with my friends.
Thank you. That's all I wanted to hear.
Well, that's obvious. That's not even what I'm talking about.
That's not what happens in high school sports now is what they're saying.
Oh, well, high school sports. I mean, I can't talk for the FHSAA. All I'm saying is that we're going to see things in college football that I think are going to be tweaked or fine-tuned, so to speak. But, if you happen to be lucky enough to be a part of a recruiting class that's getting a lot of money at the at Texas A&M University, hey, you're just a lucky guy, and timing has worked out well for you. And I think it's hypocritical as hell to say that that's wrong or disloyal or not something anyone else wouldn't do. I
don't have a problem with kids making money, but I do. What Caleb Williams is doing to me is not right. I think he's a heck of a player. I understand that, he's the best quarterback in America. Mm-hmm. I'm going to see who pays me the most money. I get that. But, dude, you just screwed OU. OU gave you a scholarship. You went there and you played in a bunch of games for them. You came
Lincoln Riley gave him a scholarship.
Well,
and Lincoln Riley hauled ass.
Let's just say that Lincoln Riley was still there.
Well, that's a different story. We're probably not even talking about it, QB. We're not talking about Caleb Williams. You know this. Come on. If he stays at Oklahoma, that kid ain't leaving. But Lincoln Riley is the reason he went to Oklahoma. And, yes, I'm sure Oklahoma offered some really cool things, but so could have Oklahoma State or Texas or California or wherever. But Lincoln Riley left, bro. And this is the thing, is that kids are responding now and having the right to respond to what the people who tell them one thing in April are and doing something different in October. I think it makes sense to me that they should have more options too. And I don't think there's a darn thing wrong with that. I have no problem with it. Because these guys are breaking their promises too. Gus Malzahn, I mean, there he is. Getting Will Muschamp. How much money did that guy get paid to suck? And, it wasn't his fault that he got fired, but that wasn't the plan, was it? So things change, and you have to be ready to change.
I take the coaches and the players. It's totally two separate situations, in my opinion.
I don't think so. I think it's all about personal preference. I think it's all about what's best for you. Every single coach that leaves says, this was the right time. This is what's good for my family.
I agree with that. I'm going back to the player. I have an issue with college.
Why can't they say that?
Loyalty.
Why can't they say, this is the best thing for me and my family? This is the right time. They present better. You know what Joe Castiglione said when Caleb Williams decided that he was going to get possibly out of Oklahoma? He may go back. But when he said he was leaving, you know what the athletic director said? We wish you the best in your endeavor to do what's best for you and your family.
What the hell did you want him to say publicly, JC?
Well, he didn't have to say anything publicly.
Yes, they did. That's what they do. Joe didn't say that. The sports information people released a statement.
The athletic director said it, bro. I read it. He said that.
I know, but he didn't actually. Here's how it works.
Okay. If you know what's going on at the University of Oklahoma's athletic department.
It's at every situation. When Billy Napier makes a statement, it comes from the sports information department people. Okay, that's how it works. We got a text on the Titan MR text line. Good morning, guys. Shane, have you ever thought of this? JC is like a NASCAR driver with a lot of sponsors. He represents a lot of teams in sports, and he always rides a winning horse. Whoever is losing, he doesn't represent.
No, that's not true. I've got a Jaguar hat I wore. Come on, you go back.
You haven't worn it since they won their second game.
I wore it when they beat Buffalo. Okay,
yeah. That's what I just said. After they won their second game,
it doesn't mean they're a winning program. Listen, I think Urban Meyer did a great thing. He got his kids' college paid for, and all this other crap. Now he's gone. We don't even know where he is. But and I, this is just the way the world works, and I tend to, you have to have an adaptive personality to accept it. And some folks just can't. So that's all right.
What are you talking about your winning teams and your losing teams?
I think, no, I'm just talking about this whole discussion of how the landscape is changing. As far as my winning teams and losing teams go, I like this red hat. I think
here's the thing. I have no problem.
I'm going to wear it.
I have a problem with change when it is not the best thing for the sport. And if you want to sit here and tell me this is good for college athletics, you're crazy.
I think it's funny though how you can speak from afar on what is best for a kid over here getting a deal that was not even considered back in the day, because then you would have gotten on the death penalty. You would have been put on the death penalty.
Okay, why do you think it's good for college sports? Just give me a simple answer.
Well, I didn't say necessarily it was good for college sports.
That's my point. That's the whole argument.
But I didn't say it was bad either. And I don't think that the calamity that you're predicting is going to happen. It didn't happen this year, and it's probably not going to happen next year. And I think
they just spent $30 million on 15 football players.
That's all relative, QB. You can't do it at NC State, but you can do it at Texas A&M. Well, that's my point. The way the world is.
That's my point. You got 6 schools that are going to win the national title every year from this point on.
Let me ask you something. Is there a difference between the Citadel and, let's say, Virginia Tech? Yeah, there is. Is there a difference between Texas A&M and, let's say, Iowa State? Oh, yeah, there is.
Yeah.
So nothing's the same. There's never been any balance in college football ever. And this is why we're going to have a very important discussion about the college football playoff tomorrow with 12 and Jack Swarbrick. 12 commissioners and Jack Swarbrick, or 10 commissioners, Jack Swarbrick. We're going to talk about the college football playoff tomorrow and expanding this thing. That, to me, is a good thing. And that will balance out these things that bother you. I really believe that's the case, because I don't think you're going to see kids from California bolt for Alabama and Ohio State necessarily.
They're going to go play. They're going to go play where they can win and get paid.
Well,
it's that simple.
Why can't they play in a winning program at USC or UCLA?
Well, they will, because Lincoln Riley will be their coach, and he will bring in top players.
The bigger reason is because now the opportunities where kids are not funneled one place that you worry about all the time are now going to be expanded for kids to do the same thing at Alabama you can do now at Arizona State. And the reality is because Arizona State has a chance to win a Pac-12 championship and play in the playoff. And that is absolutely why we're going to see an expansion of the playoffs. Whether you agree or not, that is the fact. And the fact is that when you have more opportunities for more schools, more kids are going to make different decisions than the same ones they've been making, that people complain about year in and year out, having a non-diversified final playoff scenario on a yearly basis. And that's what people are more upset about than some kid getting $1 million. That's the truth.
John says they're going to fix the portal NIL before they fix expansion. I agree with that. I think they will.
Well, expansion has a lot to do also with TV contracts and so forth. So we're not talking about next year expanding to 12 teams, but we are talking about getting more information on when this could possibly happen and how it's going to happen. Just like we're not talking about Texas and Oklahoma joining the SEC next year. That was never going to happen. The point is that they're going to do it, but they're going to do it when they can do it and when financially it makes the most sense. And that's why I'm excited, because I think that brings better days to the sport and makes the sport more interesting. And I think the majority of people will agree with that.
We got a text on the Titan Mar text line from Frank. Frank says, basically what is happening now with the NIL is what Alabama and Georgia have been doing behind closed doors for years. Even Jimbo mentioned it in his press conference. Well, it is true. It is true. Now it's basically Jimbo said this has been going on for a long time, but it's.
Oh, did he specifically say it happened at Alabama and Georgia?
Well, he knows that it did, JC. Let's all be honest.
Is that what he said?
No, but
he said
right?
Really?
It's school. He said it's schools where he's been.
At schools where he's been. So did Auburn pay Cam Newton?
Yeah, they did.
Oh, okay. You know that, right?
Yeah, Auburn and Alabama's paid players. I know for a fact.
Just Auburn and Alabama, right? But not Tennessee, Florida, Arkansas, South Carolina.
Florida ain't paid nobody since the Charlie Feld days. I can promise you that.
Okay.
Coach Spurrier didn't break no record, no rules.
Okay. Well, I agree. I think
I agree with this statement right here. Joseph says, "Ain't no kid outside of Arizona picking Arizona State over teams like Alabama, Georgia, or any of the sunny Florida schools."
Maybe
LSU,
not tomorrow.
I don't care how much money they make.
Maybe not tomorrow. Maybe not tomorrow. But what I'm talking about is that you have kids from California constantly leaving the state because they don't see the opportunities that they see.
Right. Where are they going though? Where are they going?
Well, that's going to change, I think.
But where are they going right now? Is my point.
Well, we know where they're going, but that's going to change.
So they're only going to go either that place or they're going to stay at USC.
No,
it ain't like they're going to go to UCLA.
No,
they're not going to go to Washington. They're not going to go to Arizona State. They're going to go to USC.
What? I mean, I don't see that. I think Washington. These are all good programs. They're all opportunities for kids to make decisions. If the kid likes the coach at Washington better than he likes the coach at USC or UCLA, then that's where he's going.
And he may love that coach, but this school over here may pay him all this money. Where's he going to go then?
Well, then, okay, but what if it doesn't? And what if another school pays him? Look, I mean, QE, listen, you don't know what these kids are going to do. I'm just saying that there's the opportunity now with an expanded field, and I don't think this is even worth debating because it's the truth. When you have more opportunities, you're going to have a more diversified landscape. That's just the way it is. There's no question about that. Not everybody wants to go to Alabama or Georgia or LSU if they live in California. A lot of them do, but not all of them. You know how big California is? Come on. So, I mean, same with Texas, same with New York, same with all these places. So, I think we're going to see a much better landscape for college football when we see an expanded playoff scenario. I don't think there's any argument with that. Are we going to pick these? Are we going to pick these NFL games? Oh, it'll
sure. Gene wants to know who's going to win the national title game. Well, that's Monday. Gene.
That's Monday.
I picked Georgia to win.
Yes, you and Spurrier picked Georgia to win again. So let's see.
And real quick. Who did you pick to win the first time?
Georgia.
Okay, that's all I wanted to hear. Yeah.
What does that have to do with anything?
Because you think we're crazy to pick Georgia in round two.
When did I say you were crazy?
Okay,
you have a real good
NFL
talent
games.
for putting words in my mouth. I tell you, I give you credit for that. You know how to do that pretty well. Saturday, Chiefs 11.5 at Denver.
Oh, gosh. Give me the Chiefs.
Yeah, Denver can't score. I'm shocked at how bad Denver is offensively with John Elway pulling the trigger. Dallas minus 4.5 now at Philadelphia. It was 6. It went down to 4.5. This is a tough number for Dallas to cover. I'm going to take the Eagles. I want Dallas to win, but that's I don't know. Maybe Jalen Hurts is I don't know. I don't know what the Eagles are all about, but they're in the playoffs today, so we'll see.
I'll take the Eagles.
Yeah, you like the Eagles too.
The Cowboys, I don't think are very good. I don't know why people think they're good.
Well, because they've won 10 games.
How many have the Eagles won?
7?
9, I think.
No.
Yeah,
no, they're not one game. I believe
they're 9. I believe they're 9-8 right now.
They're 9-7, and Dallas is 11-5. All right, Pittsburgh has to win and hope for a lot of help. They need the Colts to lose to Jacksonville, but they're still mathematically alive, and they're giving Baltimore 4.5. I think Baltimore's out of it. I'll take the Steelers just because they have something to play for, and I don't think Baltimore is going to play Lamar. So
I'll take Baltimore. I just think the Steelers are terrible.
I wrote that down before you even said it. How about that? Let's go to another game here. This is an important game, so we're going to pick it. Whether you like it or not, it is important. The Colts laying 16 points to the Jaguars. Jeez.
The Colts will cover that. Jags can't. Jags haven't scored over, I think somebody said, like 20 points the entire year.
Gosh, yeah, that's some
that's
of these
your
games,
team
wow.
that you said they're going to win 7 games.
Well, yeah, I love how you keep reminding me.
They won't win 7 games next year unless they have unless they clean house with their
I'd like
talent.
to see who their coach is going to be.
It doesn't matter. Take the coach out of it. They need better players.
Oh, here's a good game. The Rams are at home trying to secure the 2nd seed in the NFC. With a win, they will do it. And they are playing a team they cannot beat, but they are a 4.5-point favorite. When I say they cannot beat the 49ers, it's because they've lost something like 4 or 5 straight to that team. But the Rams are at home at SoFi. They are playing for a number 2 seed, which would allow them to avoid Green Bay until the final possible game in the NFC, the championship. They would have home games in their first 2 rounds of the playoffs with the number 2 seed. That's the advantage of being a 2 seed. And I think they want to stay in LA. They are laying 4.5 to San Francisco, who's also playing to stay in the playoff picture and could easily be a factor in the playoffs if they get in. It's a dangerous team, but I think Trey Lance is going to probably start. I like the Rams.
But if Trey Lance is the quarterback, I'll take the Rams.
Yeah.
If Jimmy Garoppolo starts, I'll take the 49ers.
Okay, I'm going to put the contingency pick there for you.
Yep.
All right, and then this is another game that will have probably the most meaning of the entire weekend, because these 2 teams are playing for the last potential playoff spot in the NFC, and if they get in, they could be dangerous, either one of them. Probably more so the Chargers than the Raiders. But the Chargers are laying 3. They're playing in Vegas at the Mandalay Bay, right there. And, these 2 teams, one of them has to win, one of them has to lose. If they tie, they both go. But the Chargers are a 3-point favorite against the Raiders. I like the way the Raiders are playing. I like the 3 points at home. I also like the Chargers. I know you'll take the Chargers, and I'll take the Raiders just to be different.
Yeah, I'll take the Chargers. John says here on Facebook Live, QB, we have to wait and see what Jax does in all-season free agent. Coach doesn't matter that much. I agree. They got some of the worst NFL players I've ever seen.
Well, how did it get so bad?
Because they don't know how to evaluate talent. I watched 3 games a year, and I can tell you they don't have very good talent.
They used to say Dave Caldwell was one of the best general managers.
He's not even there.
I know, but he was there when they were accumulating all this non-talent. So
Urban and his crew got rid of a bunch of people, I think.
Yeah, so their 1-year stint, their 1-year path of destruction lives on. Maybe things can change in Jacksonville. I don't know what the prospects are. Probably not that good. But I think getting a new coach obviously is the first step. They have to do something. The rest of these games are all garbage games. The Bears, the Vikings, the Washington people, and the Giants. The Browns and the Bengals. The Browns are out of it. The Bengals, I think, are locked in at the 3 spot. The Saints are playing. They're trying to stay alive. Here's a good game. We'll finish this one. The Saints and the Falcons. It's a rivalry game, if there's such a thing in the NFL. These 2 cities don't like each other. New Orleans is playing 3.5. I don't know how they score points at all, but they're favored to be Atlanta. What do you think?
Oh, gosh. I'll take – our Saints are at home?
No, it's in Atlanta.
Oh,
I don't think that matters.
I'll take the Falcons.
Okay, and I'll take New Orleans. All right, there you go. All right, well, Peachland Dental, we're still trying. Bowl season is over now, except the game tomorrow night, which is not really a bowl game, or Monday night. And I guess Monday, that's when we'll break down some of that. And the only reason I took Georgia in the first time isn't because of my love for Georgia in any way, shape, or form. It's just because of what Alabama looked like against Auburn the week before and how Georgia played the entire season.
And the reason I'm picking Georgia is because of the pass protection issues that I saw against Cincinnati. That's the only reason I'm picking Georgia.
That's the only reason, huh? That has
because
nothing to do with Georgia's
I think Kirby and them.
What about Georgia's offense?
Why Alabama won game one is because Georgia let them throw it over their heads, and they pass protected extremely well. Bryce had all day.
Yeah.
I saw Cincinnati pressure the hell out of him. He was not comfortable the entire game. If Georgia can do that, I think that's why Georgia wins the game.
Okay, that's hard to argue against. But what I will tell you is Alabama didn't have to pass, didn't need to pass, didn't really want to pass.
But I understand that. They ran the football. But when they did throw, they could not block Cincinnati. And it's because of the twist in the games and the stunts that they provided. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But that's the only reason why I'm picking Georgia. Because Georgia's going to score.
Georgia is going to have to score to win.
they're going to move the football.
In every scenario that Alabama's lost, look, Stetson Bennett has played well, but he is 0-2 against Alabama, and he's had the same problem.
He played well last week.
Last week he did against Michigan, but against Alabama.
No, I'm talking about against Alabama. He threw for 340 yards.
Yeah, he played fine, but he also had a pick six. He had a couple other issues, and it was really similar to the first time they played him. The first time they played him was the same score,
but here's
same scenario.
Here's the thing, and I tell everybody that always says Stetson Bennett this, Stetson Bennett that. If Stetson Bennett was 6'2", not one damn person would ask for JT Daniels. Not one person. He is clearly better than JT Daniels.
Well,
he would not be playing.
Do you even remember the last time you saw JT Daniels play?
No, but I'm talking about these so-called analysts, will wonder if Kirby will make the change, if they're struggling in the first quarter. Kirby's not making a change because Stetson Bennett is the best player.
I get it, but I think part of that question emanates from the idea that Stetson Bennett has problems with Alabama.
He's 0-2. He played extremely well in the championship game. The reason Georgia lost the football game is because their defense sucked.
Defense couldn't stop Alabama.
It's that simple. It wasn't Stetson Bennett.
And now, what if Georgia can't get to Bryce Young? Then what happens?
Well, Georgia's still going to move the football, but can they get not? But here's the thing: if you really think back,
answer the question. That's my question.
The two biggest plays in that game were the deep ball that he threw to Jameson Williams, and he hit Jameson Williams on a crossing route that he took about 75 yards. Those were two big chunk plays. If you eliminate the chunk plays and keep everything in front of you, usually the offense will make a mistake.
We'll see. Anyway. We'll see. We'll talk more about this on Monday.
Yep, that's JC Joints on the Titan More Hotline. We got to take time. Good gracious, time went by fast. You're watching and listening to Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, won't back down. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Great Clips, it's gonna be great. Our Gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Celebration Point Town Center, South State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage, Silverback Concrete Co. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Adams Rib Company, Doreen Wiebe Realtor, Caldwell Banker, MM Parish, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Rap Spot, Okito America, Gators Dockside, Style Cuts, Big Mills Cheesesteaks. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure you follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios at South State Bank. We understand that small businesses need a community business partner they can rely on. South State has 4 convenient Alachua County locations. South State Bank, banking forward, member FDIC. JC and I had our Peachland Dentistry, Gator Nation's #1 choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte and surrounding areas. Visit them at peachlanddental.com. Our picks. Got a couple of Facebook Lives before we get out of here. John says, what about the rumors of Jim Harbaugh and Ryan Day moving on to greener pastures? It wouldn't surprise me if Harbaugh tries to go back to the NFL. This is the first I've heard of Ryan Day. I don't follow Ohio State at all, but wouldn't shock me. I mean, he may not want to deal with all this new stuff going on in college football. I mean, I was talking to Coach Spurrier the other day. He's like, I am glad I am not coaching college football right now. Who wants to put up with all this nonsense going on? Kids moving around, money being thrown around. I would not want to be a college football coach at all. I think you're going to see some of them jump ship. I don't think you'll see the Sabans of the world because he's got his system in place. It's just a revolving door of getting the best players. So let's see. Here we go. Michael says, Shane, you and JC are fun to get things going in the morning. Very good show. Appreciate you listening, Michael. Yeah, we debate on a lot of things. Nobody's going to change my mind about the loyalty. And to me, loyalty from college athletes to college coaches is a totally different deal. I don't think a college coach should be loyal to anybody. That is their job. Because you did not play, you did not go to school there, you don't sweat, you don't bleed for that school. That's just me. I have no problem when coaches go around. And if a player has been there a few years and sees the writing on the wall, I have no problem with him transferring. But this leaving from year to year to year, going different places, I have a problem with. But that's just me. Whether I'm right or wrong, I don't really give a damn. It's just my opinion. Joseph said, my 4-year-old son just looked at the screen and pointed at me and said, Shane said, Daddy, didn't he play QB for the Gators? Then he looked at JC and said, well, what does that guy do? Oh, y'all giving JC a hard time. Michael says, God bless SOS. Heck yeah, man. John says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mellon Law. Shane, do you believe the Alabama press protects the 2 schools there from stories of paying players? At UF, the Bianchis would blow the lid off missing dollars in a player's pocket. I don't know. I mean, we all know it. It's happened over the years. It is what it is. Rick says it needs to change to just 1 transfer. That's how it used to be, Rick. And when you did transfer, you had to sit out an entire year. But yeah, I was watching a basketball game the other night. Some kid went to the free throw line, and it was Jimmy Dykes or one of those guys. And the kid was in his 4th year playing for his 4th different team. Now that is no loyalty. My point is when he's an old man, what school is he going to say, you know, I'm a graduate of this school, or this is where, you know, we're going to take the family back on this weekend. Where are you going to choose? I don't know, but that's just me. But anyway, we'll get geared up. You know, this is the final week of the National Football League. A lot of playoff spots are still available. A lot of slots where they're going to fall. Should be a good weekend, but you got games tomorrow. Gator basketball plays tomorrow night at Auburn. I think it's an 8:00 tip. Not going to be easy. I think Auburn has the #1 pick in the draft, and Jabari Smith. It's going to be a tough battle, no doubt. Hope you enjoyed today's program. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you on Monday. Today's show is a wrap, brought to you by Wrap Spot.